talk about gravity for a second. What you're experiencing right now is 1G. This is the level of gravity that your body was evolved for, what it works perfectly in, and without it, things start to just not work quite right. Things like your muscles begin to atrophy, your bones begin to weaken at a very fast rate actually, and your circulatory system gets a little bit messed up because your body is used to pumping the blood through that force of gravity. Now there are some ways around this. Pretty simple one is for people to just wear heavier suits, wear weight suits around all the time, or use magnetic shoes that stick to the floor and gives them that extra work that they have to do to get the gravitational effects lessened anyway. The other is to use the same idea that we have with some rotating space stations, which is to use centripetal force in sort of a carousel motion in living quarters so that people have that little bit extra G-force that adds on to what the planet is already giving them to give them something more Earth-like. The second is air pressure, and air pressure is something we don't really think about. We just kind of live in this air pressure that we all live in, and we don't feel anything because it's normal to us. But if it was different, we would definitely feel it. And as I mentioned in our last video, you can only go so high before that air pressure makes it impossible for you to be able to breathe. Humans can only survive down to about a half of an atmosphere. And this feeling that we're also comfortable with is considered 1 atmosphere. We tend to judge things in Earth-like measurements. But humans can only survive down to about half an atmosphere before it becomes really hard for us to function properly. Now the highest level of pressure that we can live under is a little bit more ambiguous, but it's around 30 atmospheres where our blood, the gases in our blood begin to become toxic to us. And there is probably an air pressure above which we couldn't even breathe anymore because our lungs wouldn't be able to force the air back out. But I wasn't able to find that number. If you guys happen to know that number, please share it in the comments. Getting around this problem is pretty basic. You wear spacesuits and you have pressurized habitats. Again, there's some engineering challenges there, but nothing that we couldn't overcome. Now last is temperature. Now I don't think I really need to explain why temperature matters. If a planet is 300 degrees, we're gonna cook, which might smell delicious, but not a good living condition. According to what I found anyway, the human body can only really sustain temperatures of around 115 for long periods of time, and between 30 and 50 degrees for long periods of time without some kind of help. Now obviously there are parts of the planet that regularly get up to 115 degrees and humans have lived there for thousands of years. There are also people that live down in Antarctica where the temperatures get down below -60 on a regular basis and they're able to live there. Again, with some advanced engineering and technology. Now some basic ways to deal with the temperature problem on other planets is to build underground and have habitats underneath the surface, or there's the option of literally 3D printing buildings on massive scaffolds.